So tell us how Cricket District was founded.
So I've told you about Cricket Now. Heartbreak. Looked up a couple of freelance roles. One of them was at the ICC. They were looking for a freelance social media producer.
Your friends at the ICC?
Yeah, it's really funny. So I was a junior freelance social media producer at the ICC. The first day I was a bit nervous. I thought they were they gave me the job just to I
thought you might have been hunting them.
Yeah.
Tell us about some of the highlights. Tell us about some of the cool experiences.
I think getting the lanyard and the ECB accreditation that says Meacher Cricket District, that is just mind-blowing how we're up there now.
G'day legends and welcome back to the Cricket Mentoring Podcast. I am again in the Cricket District studio, an amazing place here in Eastbourne in Sussex, and I'm with the Cricket District boys, Jack and Toby. Welcome, boys.
Thanks for having us.
I'm very excited for this because I've seen Cricket District from afar for a long time now, and you guys are doing amazing things, and I'm keen to hear about what you're up to, how you've got to where you are, and what's coming for the brand and for the business. So before we go into the business, let's go to your own cricket. Jack, let's start with you. Tell us about you as a cricketer. Who are you playing for when you first got into cricket? Tell us your journey in cricket.
Yeah, it's just slightly later than Toby's, I think. I got into cricket a lot later, probably when I was around 15, 16, properly actually joined a club. Before then, just mucking around. Played with lots of school friends and now play at Eastbourne, which is in Sussex, currently Division 2, fingers crossed for no more relegation, and it's just around the corner from the office. So yeah, it's really nice to be based down in Sussex now. Played in Sussex my whole life, so some brilliant grounds, very fortunate to play at some amazing places, and yeah, the Saffrons around the corner is pretty nice. And
you started at 15.
Yeah.
Do you have the love and the bug now? Did you sort of have it straight away at 15, or was it something that's grown on you?
No, I think you're right. It wasn't straight there, and definitely didn't have the attention span for Test cricket. I know you guys in the office get annoyed at me. My knowledge of Test cricket is atrocious. White ball, I'm great, love it, and that's what I grew up on. Going to watch the Blast at Hove, where we were this morning, with the £5 ticket. That's what I grew up on, and that's why I enjoy the faster paced side of things now. But yeah, my passion now is obviously every day it is now. So
it's exactly
as high as it's ever been, for sure.
Exactly. So Toby, what about you? How did you get into cricket and what's your sort of journey?
Yeah, very different and very fortunate, I suppose. I've played cricket for as long as I could hold a bat. Dad played cricket, granddad played cricket. I'm pretty sure great granddad also played cricket. My first club was a little club called East Street in East Kent, where my dad played. I played my first game, probably my first adult game when I was 10, classic. Brought my kit with me. Did fine leg to fine leg, absolutely loved it. And since then, I've still played village cricket. I play now at a little club called Selmerston, which is about 20 minutes drive from here. We moved from Kent to Sussex when I was about 6 or 7, but kept the place in Kent. So we'd go back, play for East Street, play school cricket here. And that was my kind of childhood, growing up playing cricket. And now, I run a local club. It's a lovely little village team. We struggle for players, but when we do play, we have great fun.
Awesome. And so then your professional lives, before we move into founding Cricket District, Toby, what did you do out of school? How did you sort of progress to then becoming what you are now?
Sure. So I studied theology and religion at university, which naturally
leads into cricket concept.
Yeah. No, I always had a bit of an entrepreneur spirit at school. Came from a bit of an acting background as well as cricket. My dad was an actor, and so was my mum. So I always enjoyed performing and being on stage and being creative. And I suppose that's where I was able to combine the love of performance and creativity with cricket. But that didn't come till I dropped out of university, really. I was at university studying theology, didn't really enjoy it, wasn't particularly enjoying the university
I don't even know
experience.
What theology is.
It's basically religious studies.
Right.
I was kind of told to do it by a tutor of mine at school down the road, and for some reason I just thought it didn't really matter what you studied at uni because you just have a great time, and I kind of just went straight into it. Probably should have thought about it a bit more, but I had a nasty injury the summer I left school, to my Achilles, which meant I went from playing loads of sport at school, playing loads of cricket pretty much every day of the summer. I would try and play cricket, to doing nothing at all my first year, which kind of meant I was at a bit of a low ebb, didn't really know what to do with myself, and the 2015 Cricket World Cup was on at the time, and I was opening up Instagram, which had kind of just started 2015, and realised that there was no creative cricket content at all. I was seeing House of Highlights covering the NBA, Sports Center covering all other sports in the US, Bleacher Report doing an amazing job, and no one really doing it in cricket. So long story short, I set up a cricket highlights page. I call it Cricket Now. I posted great catches, great run-outs, funny moments, and got it to about 200,000 followers on Instagram within a couple of years. I dropped out of university to pursue that after my second year, and then a week after I dropped out, it got taken down for copyright by the ICC. So I found myself in an even more... Never got it back. I don't know if you know this at all. I don't know if you remember Cricket Now. No. But it was basically the most followed cricket page on Instagram. Probably part of the reason it got taken down is because I had more followers than the ICC at the time. It was crazy. It just
And how
completely
were
popped
you
off.
getting content for it?
So I kind of taught myself in first year university. Like I said, I did no work at all. I wasn't really interested in theology whatsoever. So I thought, how do I download videos from ICC website, BCCI, wherever I could get them, basically, because the BCCI at the time weren't posting any highlights of the IPL, which is one of the greatest competitions in the world. I was seeing AB de Villiers take ridiculous catches. I was seeing Chris Gale hit 30 ball hundreds. And I was like, why is no one posting this on social media? And I was a bit ignorant, I suppose. And I thought, well, if I post that, it'll pop off. And it did. And it went absolutely crazy. So I kind of, taught myself the technicalities of downloading content, editing it, putting awful dubstep music over catches. But it worked for a time being.
And were you able to, you dropped out of uni, did you have a part-time job on the side?
Nope. I was just like, right, I'm going to go for it. Ish. I think when they realised how badly I was doing at my course, they probably were more supportive of it. I actually suspended my studies, so I could have gone back in the September following. But essentially what happened is I dropped out to pursue Cricket Now. A week later, it got taken down. I struggled a bit with my mental health for a good 6 months or so. Didn't really know what to do myself. Was back at home. None of my mates were around because they were all at university. And then I guess I just had an opportunity through a friend of a friend to do an internship at a sports marketing company in London, predominantly working in football. Obviously took it because I had no money at the time and no job, and then worked in football for a year, and then my career changed into cricket in a later date. But I guess I've never really spoken about that much. But that was my journey post school.
And so Cricket Now, while we stay on that was just taking highlights from other places. So it essentially got taken down because of the copyright rules.
Yeah, but I had no warning, which was brutal. So I kind of think about, so I mentioned House of Highlights there. There's a guy called Omar who set up House of Highlights when he was at college, dropped out because it was hugely popular, and pursued it, and was posting NBA clips, popular culture, memes, all that kind of stuff. And the NBA reached out to him and said, yeah, no problem, just make sure you credit us in the caption. That's all good because you're spreading the love of the sport. And I'd kind of seen him build that and was like, right, I'm just going to go for it with cricket, and didn't really think of the consequences. And I think looking back, what would have been great is if the ICC had emailed me being like, shouldn't really be doing this, but well done for, you've showed great capacity to grow the game and reach new audiences. We'll give you a certain amount of clips, or we might tell you can use this stuff, but don't use this stuff. Do you know what I mean? So it was a pretty tough awakening in the industry. But looking back on it close to 10 years later, I think it taught me the lessons that I now know to create your own work, be original, credit people where it's due, and ultimately tell your own story. And I think we've built a much stronger community off the back of that ethos than just ripping highlights. But
yeah, wow, that would have been
please
brutal.
Don't do that now.
Yeah, that would have been brutal. I can only imagine waking up one morning and your world is just gone, because I use Instagram in the business we run just so much to connect with people, and it just, I can't imagine what happens. I don't even want to think about it. But Jack, tell us about you. Tell us about your sort of journey to getting into Cricket District. What did you do after school?
Yeah, slightly different. So I took a year out just to work out what I was going to do, as a lot of people do nowadays, and did go to university and studied film and TV. Kind of used that opportunity really, similar to Toby. Didn't really go to that many lectures or do things, but I just used any piece of equipment I could get my hands on at uni, which was amazing, down in Southampton, Solent University. Brilliant kit store, and basically just worked as a freelancer, put my name everywhere to say, I'll film this, doesn't matter what it is. So it wasn't just cricket then, and I'd never started doing cricket. It was always other things, music videos, club nights till 4 a.m, just like filming these DJs, just anything I could do to get my hands on a camera, which again taught me the skills to what we have now. And I just wanted to do sport for sure. Did kind of our uni varsity videos and lots of photography for different sports. And then, Toby, an email came along one day saying, do you want to come and film this with me at Arundel Castle? And I thought, yeah.
Cool.
And filmed an episode of Beautiful Cricket Grounds, the first ever in 2019 that was.
Yeah,
First
time we met was on a cricket district shoot, basically.
Okay, so tell me about that in 1 second. But were you, when you were hustling down in Southampton, were you doing that for the money, or were you doing that because you love the craft, or a bit of both?
Bit of both, yeah. Paying myself to get through uni, but at the same time, just I knew that I've kind of always been a yes person, just like, doesn't really matter what it is, I'll do it, and it doesn't matter how bad it is and annoying it is. I don't want to do it a lot of times, like back then, but I knew I kind of, any minute I had with the camera, I was going to get better with it. And I think that camera there I've had since first year of uni, so that's been
the old
filmed
faithful.
Everything, like from then till now, which is a lot of stuff. So yeah, investing in that and just learning how to use that is brilliant.
And so with your videography, or have you had any mentors or teachers, or has it all been self-taught?
All self-taught, really. I did go to university, obviously, so did have lessons and teaching.
And did you finish your degree?
Yes,
So
I did finish it.
You got that one over, Toby?
Yeah. But it was, I think all of us here at Cricket District, like behind the scenes, it's not just the two of us. There's so many people now behind the scenes. We have 5 of us, which is brilliant. Jacob's our graphic designer, and Ed is our other videographer now, and Regina as well, who's just joined us, who you met today. But a lot of us self-taught, and that's the beauty of the age we live in now. Yeah. If you want to know how to do something, you just find out and Google. And very specific things now you can do, like I still think back to like making our first lower thirds, like our names pop up. Just searched up After Effects, how to make smooth lower thirds. Done. That's all you need to do. And now I find a lot that if I want to do something really specific, you can find it and learn so many tips and tricks from there.
Absolutely.
And obviously doing it again and again and again.
And you refine it.
You get quicker and you get faster.
Do you look back at some of your early work and think, wow, that's not very good?
I feel sick looking at that first Arundel video. It's horrible. I'm like, oh, what is that shot? Oh,
but that shows the evolution. That shows the growth, doesn't it?
100%. And even like thumbnails, we were having a review of the other day, and I was like, I wasn't particularly great at Photoshop back then. Now we have a graphic designer who does them all. So it's just the evolution, and it's actually nice to look back. And I don't do it enough, I don't think. Actually sit down and watch those old videos. It's all part of the journey.
I think if you're not embarrassed by your early work, you're not doing it right.
You haven't grown.
Yeah.
Exactly. So tell us how Cricket District was founded, Toby.
Sure. So I've told you about Cricket Now. Heartbreak. But I then went into working in football, worked for a company called Snack Media, particularly on their football property. It was called Football Fancast. Started running their social media for them. Did it for a year, but on my first day, I got back to my flat in London and wrote my exit plan for how I would get out of the company because I didn't want to work for anyone else.
And so with the, sorry to cut you off, with the running their social media, did you sort of go to them and say, look, I've built a channel, I built a page that had 200,000 followers. I know what to do. I know how to do it. Because social, as you say, social media was still pretty young back then. What was your skill set or experience to get that right?
It was a bit of video editing and a bit of, I guess, to be honest, it was just that I was young and I liked sport, and most of the people in that business weren't that young and had probably lost their interest in football, but it still paid the bills. So I worked there for a year. I really enjoyed it. I made a couple of viral videos. I made one compilation of Mike Dean doing silly things. He's a referee in the Premier League. Again, somehow I got away with that one using Premier League footage, but we'll move on. But that was really fun. That one popped off and got like 20 million views on Facebook and went a bit crazy, and they were happy with me for that. And I thought, you know what, that's great, but I've done it for someone else. I haven't done it for my own account. So got back on the horse and set up a Facebook page, this time called Cricket Stuff. Because I was just posting cricket stuff. I was still a bit naive, a bit ignorant, posted some cricket memes, some village cricket clips, kept that ticking, but quickly realised it was never going to pay the bills. So looked up a couple of freelance roles. One of them was at the ICC. They were looking for a freelance social media producer.
Your friends at the ICC?
Yeah, it's really funny. And then one of them was at ESPN. And I applied for them both and somehow managed to get them both. So I was a junior freelance social media producer at the ICC during the 2017 Champions Trophy and Women's World Cup. Didn't have any awkward conversations with anyone there. I think it was probably higher up in their legal team who took down my previous page. So the first day I was a bit nervous. I thought they were like, they gave me the job just to like...
I thought you might have been hunting them.
Yeah. But that was a really cool experience, and I kind of learned the tools of the trade and how cricket worked, particularly cricket media. ESPN was really fun, worked on the cricket info desk for a bit, as well as ESPN FC, F1, Scrum, their rugby property. Did that for a year, and then the Barmy Army came along and said, we like cricket stuff, can you come and do that, but do it for us? So long story short, I ended up being the Barmy Army social media manager for 3.5 years. Wow. Did every England tour, home and away. It was one of the best gigs ever in your early 20s to watch cricket.
And what were you sharing? Were you sharing for the Barmy Army cricket action or them singing in the stands?
Well, no cricket action. I finally learned my lesson. So singing in the stands, I basically just tried to, this is going to sound like a ridiculous statement, but I tried to professionalize the Barmy Army's social media content and strategy, because actually when you think about it, the Barmy Army are a massive brand. No other brand involved in cricket gets as much free airtime as they do. Every commentator says, oh look, there they go, the Barmy Army. You'll know better than anyone. Every Ashes tour down under.
I have an amazing memory of being, I think, 11 or 12 and being in the Barmy Army. I was at the SCG.
Yeah.
And I don't know, looking back, my mum was very... I guess open-minded. We went and we bought a ticket off a scalper out the front who was selling them overpriced, and I went on my own and sat in the middle of the Barmy Army. Awesome. It was amazing.
Awesome. But actually, a lot of people don't realise that is actually a great thing to do, and they are great people, and they watch the cricket religiously. Obviously, they drink and they party, but they care so deeply about the game and about the England team. I think that's why the England team love them. So I just tried to share that kind of community and that kind of content online. And grew the Barmy Army social media channels. Really enjoyed it. Met some great people. All whilst kind of keeping cricket stuff ticking over and posting a few things on there. And I think in like the second or third year doing Barmy Army stuff, I realised that cricket stuff wasn't a great name. Changed it to Cricket District because I wanted a kind of community feel. I've just got back from the Lake District, and I was talking about the Lake District with my mum on a walk up on the Downs, and I thought District's quite a cool name for a location, a community or whatever. So changed it to Cricket District. COVID hit and I left the Barmy Army, which was an amazing journey, but felt like it was coming to a natural end. And thought, let's keep Cricket District going. Let's see how far we can take it. And at that stage, I joined a media company down here. And within a couple of months was looking for a videographer to join me. I think Jack, through a mutual friend of the company, sent in his show reel, which included a couple of shots of cricket. And I thought, yeah, you'll do.
Probably in my uni cricket team, just having a net.
Got Jack involved, and then we grew it together. We worked at this agency at the same time. And then I left, went to Sixes. I think that's right. Yeah. God, this has been a weird journey. Went and worked for Sixes, which, if you don't know, is a bar with cricket nets inside. Jack carried on at this agency. I did Sixes for a good year and a bit. Left Sixes. Finally, right, I've got to do Cricket District full time. Enough of this working for other people. Go do Cricket District full time. Get Jack on board, and let's see how far we can take things. And that's the journey. Oh, and Jacob, who's sitting at the other side of the cameras, also worked for this agency. And I said, Jacob, come and work for us. So got Jack, got Jacob, and then we've got Ed and Regina as well. It's been a cool journey. Yeah. I hope some of that explains it.
And well done. You've done quite the apprenticeship
yeah,
in different agencies and different roles to sort of become, to now run your own media agency.
Yeah, it's cool. It's been a really cool journey. Met some great people. It's important to say, like, you just can't do this kind of thing by yourself. Like, Jack joining just completely changed the way I worked and the way that the company was moving. And the two of us, I think, worked really well together, and we're able to bounce ideas off each other and have exactly the same mission in mind, which is ultimately to grow the sport we love through positive, engaging cricket social content, which we thought was lacking. I think both of us were quite frustrated and saw a gap, and we've gone for it.
So is that what you sort of try and come back to, your mission? Is that what you sort of say, where that's what it's, the channel and the content, the business is all about?
Yeah, definitely. I think the main thing, like you say, is there was I grew up watching YouTube, not Netflix, not Amazon Prime. I was always watching YouTubers, people like big time Sidemen, other football YouTubers who were always making really fun, engaging content, 20 minutes long. I'd watch every minute of, and I would never get bored of it. I would never switch it off and never be on my phone at the same time. And there was just nothing in cricket. Well, there were a few people out there doing it, but I always thought, what happens? There's no one doing stuff with professionals. There's no one doing stuff as beautifully and cinematically as possible, getting drones everywhere. When we started, it wasn't really that going on. So there's kind of that gap really just to go for it. And yes, it started very small and stupid TikToks at the local club, and it's now.
What was the, I suppose the first piece of content would be cricket stuff, but what was sort of an early, when you maybe joined, what was an early piece of content you can remember that you thought, let's start doing this sort of thing?
Well, when we were still at the agency, we worked together. So I left uni, and when I applied for that job straight away, we had probably a year overlap for that company. Yeah. And during that time, when we were still working there, that's when Beautiful Cricket Grounds was produced, that series. So it was 4 videos at that time. There's some incredible grounds in England, and you did one in New Zealand as well. 2 in New Zealand, actually. 2, yeah. So yeah, there's so many things like that kind of was the first few things I thought were on something here. Yeah,
I think so. I think one of the coolest moments was just like 2019, I was in New Zealand with the Barmy Army, but the first test was at Bay Oval, which I'd always wanted to visit. It's a stunning cricket ground if you ever get the opportunity to go. Mount Maunganui, very special place. So I filmed all the Barmy Army content, but I was also like, you know what, this is worthy of a Beautiful Cricket Grounds episode. So I shot all of the content. It was all raw, loads of B-roll, loads of slow-mo, loads of stuff probably out of focus. I was like, right, this might work, this might not. Chuck it on a hard drive, give it to Jack. And it was just before lockdown.
I literally remember I was wearing rubber gloves. I remember you were like, let's do it, but let's mask up. Up, rubber gloves, got this hard drive.
Yeah.
The day before lockdown hit.
It was crazy. Gave the hard drive to Jack, didn't really expect much. And within a couple of days, he'd produced a beautiful Cricket Grounds episode. And it was a real switch in my brain that was like, right, we're doing something right here. Like, we've both got he produced it in a way that I wanted, like perfectly, and added so many great little touches. And I think that was a moment for me where I was like, we've got to go for this. We've got to give it our all. And I've got a big ethos as well that like the universe rewards you for going all in on something. And for too long, I was doing bit jobs for other people, knowing I could be doing better. And building my own company with people I really like and people who share the same mission as me. And I think that's such an important thing. I think you've got it down to a T. There are several other content creators in sport who are doing it out of the love of the game, and therefore are in alignment with their mission, if that makes sense. And I think that's a really important thing.
I'm just thinking again, just having time to think about it.
Yeah.
I actually think one of the biggest breakthrough moments that we haven't really spoken about that much is the Rashid Khan shoot. And we were working for this agency and we were offered Rashid Khan for a day. And at the time, I don't know how many subscribers we were on, probably not many, probably 20,000-30,000.
Yeah.
And we were shooting Painter, the footwear brand, shooting him at Barnes Cricket Club. And we had half an hour left at the end of the day. And they said, do you want to face him? And we thought, okay, let's just give it a go. And faced him, and I think we kept that video for almost a year, unedited, just the files. Didn't really know what to do with it, and had it there because we weren't all in on it at that point. It was kind of just an ongoing thing, and when we did post it, that was when it was ongoing, and it was that I feel like was the first time a professional cricketer had been on with 2 village cricketers, and that. Yeah, we haven't really spoken about it that much.
And the response it got was evidence that we were doing the right thing. 2.5 million views. Yeah. Rashid collaborating on Instagram, and like just things like that we were like, right, and the comments were so brilliant. There were so many comments being like, finally, like fun cricket content. We've been waiting for this. So yeah, that felt like a real breakthrough for us.
We're just taking a break from this episode for a minute to tell you about the cricket mentoring community. We're on a mission to build the world's best community of cricketers, coaches, and parents. So no matter where in the world you live or what level you're at right now, the cricket mentoring community can help you. If you're committed to your game and serious about becoming the best cricketer you can be and person you can be off the field, then join cricketers from over 24 countries around the world in the cricket mentoring community. Get access to myself and other CM mentors and experts from around the world as we aim to teach you the 6 pillars of success: technical, tactical, mental, emotional, physical, and lifestyle, so that you can become the best you can be. If this excites you and you're ready to take the next step in your journey, then click on the link in the description below and join the cricket mentoring community now. And so the hardest part, I guess, for you or for any young entrepreneur trying to start their own business is juggling the cost of living, paying bills, with doing something they love. You can't just, I'm going to start a business, because you've got to pay your rent. You've got to go and buy your food from Tesco's and stuff. So how did you sort of start monetizing when you stopped working at the agency? Were you just living off savings, or did you have a way to, did you have clients, or how did you start earning an income from this?
Yeah, the honest answer is I wasn't really sure how to do it, and I didn't really have many people around me who had done it. We just knew that if we gave it everything, we would be able to look back and be like, yeah, we gave it everything and it didn't work. Fine. I think, do you know what I mean? I feel like we had a conversation at one point, I don't know when this would have been, probably 2022.
Yeah.
And we're basically like, if we don't go all in on this, then we don't deserve it. But from a personal perspective, real struggle. 2022 was tough. I had to do a few other freelance bits and pieces to kind of keep paying the bills and keep things going. Jack was still at the agency, I think, at the time, and I had just left Sixes. And I'm sure I can say this, but essentially what happened is I worked at Sixes for just over a year, running their social media content, doing partnerships and stuff like that, trying to do basically everything: videography, graphic design, all this kind of stuff for them. But they hired me because I understood cricket, and Sixes is a cricket business, and it's got cricket nets, it's a hospitality business, but it also needs to cater to a large cricket audience. So I left there to pursue Cricket District. They hired a social media agency who didn't get cricket, and within a couple of months, the CEO was very frustrated, obviously, because there were posts going out that had nothing to do with cricket, or, you know, just talking. We all know the kind of terms that are used when you don't understand the sport. So he approached me and said, look, I get that you want to go for Cricket District. Could we hire Cricket District as our social media agency? We pay you a retainer. You guys run our social content. And yeah, you can basically be our social media agency. And I thought, great, that's perfect, because then I have the funds to hire Jack. And that's basically what happened. Sixes were our first client as an agency. That got Jack on board, and we were then able to spend more time on creative original content on our own channels, and have since built an agency alongside a content company, I suppose.
Yeah.
I was really motivated. We met up with a friend that you were connected with, Simon Weir, at Global Cycling Network. I mentioned to you the other day, and it's a fantastic setup how they have an agency alongside a YouTube channel that is kind of creator focused, and it's amazing how you can create these, so like the experts of creating something. I feel like cycling maybe even more specialist than cricket, but the cricket, there's so many terms and things you have to get right. So we now act as an agency that is pretty much cricket specific, because people trust us that we know we're going to say the right things, we're going to have the right tone of voice for them, and they can also use our platform that's incredible now for a really nice community of people that are fully engaged. So it works nicely together. And like you say, Sixes were the first people to recognise that and think, okay, if we can speak to Cricket District's audience, then that works for us as well. So we may as well do both.
Yeah, awesome. So how do you juggle running Cricket District, which is its own sort of beast? Let's say it's built up this sort of huge following, and you're creating amazing content for, with running the agency, and is that the goal, to continue sort of moving forward with both hand in hand?
Juggle is a great word to use, because it is at the moment, which is a great problem to have. I think we've got loads of work coming in, loads of people wanting to collaborate with us on the Cricket District space, lots of people wanting our skill set when it comes to videography and graphic design and production in the cricket world. I can answer this one from a business perspective. Right now it's 50-50, I'd say. Maybe even 60-40 in favour of the agency side in terms of amount of time that we're spending on it. We really want to get that to a place where we're spending more time on our original content. But it's challenging. Building a cricket business is hard, particularly when you don't rely on any gambling money or purely catering towards the Indian audience. We pride ourselves on connecting with grassroots cricketers in the UK and Australia, South Africa, as well as obviously the Indian diaspora across the world. I think you would agree with me that our main focus should be cricket districts, because we've got a real opportunity and we've got a really strong community who want to see content from us. But it can be challenging financing that, particularly in the current climate.
Yeah, I think, bang on with juggle. You kind of have to work out in your head. It's all about being as organised as possible and planning and organising and thinking, prioritising, okay, what is top of the list today? And I can guarantee that today is completely different from tomorrow. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot that's very different things, but you just have to prioritise and work out what needs doing to then hopefully execute the best you can for both sides. And like I say, when we started, it was probably 80-20 agency side of things, like nothing for cricket districts.
Yeah, we've wrestled back a bit of
but one day, if we can still have an agency alongside of it, because we still love doing that, and both of us just want to make cool cricket videos, really.
And we've seen opportunities as well where we've actually been frustrated, just like we're frustrated with traditional media's coverage of cricket. We've also been quite frustrated at a lack of quality content in teams, leagues, franchises and player social media. So we also see an opportunity there to help these organisations with their content and therefore be more creative and grow the game that way.
And a lot of it's just access, really. When we go to things, it's don't ask for much as cricket districts, because a lot of the time it is just access. But imagine if that access was, like SA20 is a great example, was fantastic. They said, pitch side, go for it. Filming that game and then allowing us to create cool content for them and then publish that on our channels too. It's just the perfect combination, and the more of those we can get, the better.
Yeah, well, you mentioned that. You've done some pretty cool things now. Like, tell us about some of the highlights. Tell us about some of the cool experiences. You've got some amazing photos. A photo behind you here of Broad celebrating at the Oval last year, maybe, that you guys have taken. So tell us about what each of you, what's been a highlight.
Okay.
That's a good question. I think getting the lanyard and the ECB accreditation that says Jack Meacher Cricket District, like that is just mind-blowing how we're up there now. And last summer at the Ashes, like you said, that picture was one of the best. I'll remember that forever. I lived in London at the time and was able to cycle to that game, and I'll just never forget like the buzz around that, and capturing professional cricket in that way and being allowed to do that is just mind-blowing. How going from making stupid TikToks to that.
Give our listeners and viewers an idea what you were doing. You were pitch side, taking proper photos. Tell us what it was.
So we kind of get access to cover the game in a photography aspect, and then we also, filming wise, never the game is about, we always try and say from the fans perspective, obviously we're very fortunate to be at the game, and there's 40,000 people at the Oval. That's not that many people if you think about how many cricket fans are around the world. So if we can bring our audience in with us and get that content physically from that angle, I think that's our main aim when we go to games like that, covering it in that way, in a different way. We're not pitch side, well, maybe I was for that shot, but not always pitch side, just taking newspaper like focused pictures. We're trying to create cool social angles, but for that moment, as you say, I knew that was kind of a decisive moment, and fortunate two of us, Toby went into the stands and got it from that angle, and I was like, right, I need to get this, because that photo there is just you're never going to get that again with Broad celebrating like that.
Absolutely. And is that a partnership with the ECB? Are they saying, guys, we love what you're doing, come and sort of be a part of this?
So anyone can apply to be a kind of at the game, and we apply as non-rights holders, content creators, videographers, and they either approve or deny, and we have a brilliant relationship with them now. We're very fortunate for everything they've allowed us to do so far, and just hope that we can continue the partnership, because like we say, all we want to do is just make cool stuff.
I think that's where I've learned that lesson so hard, is that you really have to earn the respect of these rights holders and these organisations. And obviously, that's fair. Of course you have to, because they are the guardians of the game, and the rights holders pay big money to have those rights. So of course they need to protect their properties. So I think getting the lanyard, getting the accreditation vest on is amazing. It still feels like I'm going to the headmaster's office when I go to Lords, I'll be honest, getting a telling off. But the ECB have been incredibly supportive of us, and so have their partner brands. There's one behind me of Dharamshala in India, which is a really special trip. The guys at Batfast, who make the batting simulators for sixes and various other places, invited us out on a last minute trip and said, we've got a partnership with the ICC. or you obviously can't film anything going on inside the stadium, but would you like to film an episode of your beautiful cricket grounds and make it work? And we did. And I went out with Jacob. Jack was on holiday, I think. And again, a case of me shooting all of the content, putting it on a hard drive, giving it to Jack, and him doing his magic. So yeah, getting to visit amazing places, filming with some of the legends of the game, photographing one right there, Viv Richards. That's pretty awesome. That would be probably my favourite photo that Jack's ever taken. It's really nice to actually have a moment to look back at it. It's been a cool couple of years, but it has only been a couple of years. We feel like we're only just getting started.
We've only been full time. I think I was
18 months.
October 2023. So
yeah.
Wow.
Sorry, 2022.
Yeah, so not.
And do you know off the top of your head what your following count is at the moment? Your subscribers and followers?
Overall, across all platforms, about 1.5 million.
Amazing. And that's like, obviously in cricket, the big demographic is India. That's quite a big spread in the UK and other parts as well.
Yeah, it's really, really spread, weirdly. Like, you get little percentages here, there and everywhere that you would not expect. And also recently the US as well, creeping up.
US, Europe, small little percentages here and there. Obviously massive audience in India, but we're really proud, like I said, of our audience in the UK. And Australia as well. Like, the key with Cricket District is, yes, 2 of us to begin with, 5 of us in the office now. We are all, of course, England fans, but I like to think that never comes across in our content. We are never biased. We are never, negative about a particular player or a particular team. As hard as that can be during the Ashes, particularly when we're not playing that well, we got to keep positive about the sport, and I think that comes across in our content, and therefore our community engage with us, whether they are Australian, English, South African, wherever they're from. I think they engage with us because they get that we like cricket, and that we have a simple mission to grow the game.
It's also interesting looking across platforms. Like, one platform will be completely different to the other, and now actually starting to work out what actually is the best thing to do per platform, and not just sticking the same thing everywhere. Actually catering it to, like, okay, what do our audience really want to see, and what's going to give them the most value, and not just forcing stuff down the throats they don't want to see. You
sort of mentioned nearly 1.5 million followers, which is incredible. How do you judge the success of your content, and how do you sort of not get, like, because that's incredible. Like, and sometimes I look back at a video and it's had 200,000 views, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, but then at times you're like, oh, it's only 200,000. I thought that might get more. Like, how do you sort of detach yourself from the numbers, but also use the numbers to your advantage?
It's really hard, especially like, click the upload button, come back in an hour, and expecting a YouTube ranking system, they do like a 1 out of 10. It's like, oh, come on, be a 1, and it's like an 8, and it's like, oh god, what have I done? But especially, like, I guess the point we haven't really spoken about that much yet is the Broad and Anderson Village versus Pro, which was a huge turning point for us, and I think we'll both agree that that was the moment that pretty much most pros across the world trusted us and would let us do these videos with them without fear that they were going to be asked about trying to get a line out of them, and it's just purely for fun. But that video since then, everything's very difficult to keep up with that momentum. That's just ticked over 3 million views, was number 8 on YouTube trending worldwide, not just in the UK. To keep up with that is really hard. So now I think personally, it's just about making something that we enjoyed producing and enjoy making and enjoy watching back, and knowing if it only does get 30,000 views, that's still okay. That's still fine. That's still a lot of people seeing it. And if we enjoy doing it,
and only 30,000, like your early days would be so happy with that.
Whoa, awesome. And actually, that's a lot of people. You just mentioned the Oval there, 40,000 people. Like, that might be a disappointing number of views for an episode of Village Feed Pro, but that's still a lot of people taking 10, 15
impact.
Taking, like, just with your videos, like, that's someone sitting down taking 15 minutes out of their day to watch us make a fool of ourselves. Like, that's massive. And I think that the biggest thing that's impacted the way I feel about what we do is meeting people in person. So the last couple of years, this summer in particular, whenever we've been at a cricket ground, we've had young lads and young girls come up to us and ask for selfies and say how much they enjoy the content and want to be in 6 and out this week. Did you see this? Did you see my catch? Did you see my 100? That means more to us than seeing the numbers underneath the YouTube video, and I'm sure you get that as well. Because it's really hard to connect with a figure on a screen, but when you meet someone in person and they tell you how much they like your content, that means the world.
meaningful.
Yeah,
I was at the
massive.
100 on Tuesday last week, and so we posted our latest video, Village versus Pro, with Luke Wood and Chris Green on the Sunday. So I was at the 100 on the Tuesday, and I probably had 10 people come up to me, and like they really watch it in detail. They're like, "Oh, I see when your toes almost got ripped off by that Yorker." And I was like, "Oh, you actually genuinely 30,000 people genuinely concentrating on watching that video is very cool."
Yeah, it's amazing.
Did you have that moment? I know. There's a great video of you. I know you're interviewing us. Sorry, but there's a great video of you where you're mic'd up, and I'm sure people ask you about that all the time because that one was so relatable and did proper numbers on YouTube.
Yeah.
Was that a moment for you where you're like, oh, I've got a cool audience here? Like, I've got a cool audience
I don't know if there was ever one moment. That was, I think, a really unique piece of content because that was 2018, and that was before the TVs were miking people up, and there was nothing like it. And I thought, how can I give the most value? I was coming to England for a work trip, and I was like, I'm going to try and play a game and wear a mic, and it was a unique idea to sort of just add value. And I think post that, we got a lot of positive comments on YouTube.
the bowler, I'm sure.
Yeah. We got so many positive comments. And so that probably was a moment, but like because we were just talking off camera before, like my mind's always thinking, what's next? I probably didn't stop and realize that was a moment. But it is incredible. Like been over here for 2 weeks now, and I'm coaching over here and doing some content and meeting people like you guys. And I've probably coached, I don't know, 20 or 30 guys who have said, oh, this is amazing. Like I've followed you for years and now I'm meeting you. And I'm like, cool. Like tell me your story. I just want to meet you and get to know you. And it's that's what's really special because regardless if it's 4,000 or 400,000, like it's hard not to get emotional about it, I guess. But I find that if you've put the effort in, you've just got to let go of the outcome, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. And if you enjoy the effort you put in as well, for sure.
Yeah.
How do you guys, you've spoken about building a community. How do you guys sort of nurture your community? Is it through the comments on your videos? You're trying to respond to as many as possible? Like, how do you grow that community side of your viewers? Because I was listening to a podcast this morning, early hours this morning, when I couldn't sleep. It was about how Strava's grown a community. And they said there's a difference between having an audience where you put something out and having a community where there's actually a bit of engagement, that people are engaging with each other and you're engaging with them as well. So how do you nurture your community?
I think community is thrown around a lot, and actually very few people have a meaningful one, particularly in the influencer space. It's like, you post a lot of videos, you get a lot of likes, but actually, do you care about anyone who follows you or comments? We have a rule that we're pretty good at sticking at, where we reply to every DM that we get sent, if it makes sense, obviously, if it's not a spam. And we like to think that if someone sends us a catch that they've taken and you can barely see it because it's filmed in the wrong way and it's all grainy, we will still reply to them saying, great work, keep sending in the content, because that they get validation for taking a great catch and a great moment and they get celebrated. But B, the next time they take a great catch and it is filmed properly and it is in HD, we'll post it and they might go viral. So I think, relating to our community, producing content that they want to see. I think that's a big thing as well. I remember like Gary Vee talking about how everyone's so focused on numbers and growing more and more followers on Instagram, but what you should be focusing on is creating content that your existing audience want to see. There's one thing about, I want to go viral, I want to get 100,000 new followers, but actually we've got 194,000 on Instagram who have followed us for a reason. Let's produce content that they want to see before we worry about the next 194,000.
And I think it's almost like, like nurturing the audience is interesting. Like it's not about like always being active on a Discord or something like that to keep talking, but it's actually giving real value by, if they send us a clip, there's a very high chance we'll post it if it's good. If you send something to the BBC or any other media output like that that posts cricket clips, not that likely, but we will definitely, number one, watch it, and number two, either post it as a standalone clip or put in 6 and out, which you've been working on for years and wanting to get it to the point that it is now. I still remember when we started doing that, and you were trying to make it happen, and now to be almost, I'd like to think, the place to go to send your cricket clip if you get something cool, and you're very, very high chance of being posted. So giving our audience that back is more important, I think, a lot of time, and just making sure they feel like they can reach us.
Well, that's that user-generated content that they feel like they can be seen, they can become a star for a day, can't they? And so they can relate to every other village cricketer that's sort of taken a one-hander or done something silly or whatever.
Yeah, we put them on the same pedestal as pro cricketers, and I think if you scroll down our feed, it's probably a fair split between village cricket and pro cricket.
Yeah, we always try and keep it balanced. Like we always now and again look back and just double check that it's not too test match heavy or not too blast heavy or too hundred heavy.
But that's because that's the sport that we love.
Yeah.
Like everyone in this office plays club cricket. That's what we spend most of our time doing at the weekends and thinking about and talking about the results and our play cricket stats and all that stuff. So why not celebrate that? Yeah. Again, that came from watching like accounts like Grassroots Goals in football posting these like top bins like from Sunday League football, being like, oh, why is no one doing that in cricket? And what's great is we've risen at the same time as live streaming has risen in cricket. So when we first started posting clips, the first one that went viral was a guy wearing a hockey mask. I don't know if you ever saw it, you probably did. Guy wearing a hockey mask goes out to bat, first ball swings himself off his feet.
Oh yeah.
Second one,
brilliant.
Second one hits his own stumps. That went crazy on cricket stuff and did like 5 million. And that's when a light bulb went off in my head and was like, hold on, village cricket is just as, if not more, engaging than Test cricket, IPL cricket, whatever you want to watch. So let's focus on that.
There's no shortage of highlights on social of that stuff, but you guys are the ones sharing the village stuff that people can relate to.
Exactly. And now more and more clubs are filming their games all the way down to Division 10 in the East Sussex League. They've got a frog box or an MV play, and anytime anything happens in a game, they go, you should send that to Cricket District because they might share it.
Amazing. Well, guys, you should be so proud. And as you say, it's incredible to actually hear the story that you're still so young in your journey. Like, having only been in the business properly for a couple of years, it's amazing where you're going to get to. So what's next? What's on the radar for you guys?
Good question.
Yeah, great question. I probably couldn't tell you exactly what's going on because it changes a lot of the time. We've got some really cool stuff coming up with partnerships like our partnership with SA20, for example. We can probably announce soon, but we're going to renew that for season 3 of the tournament. We're going to be doing more and more content with them. And we like to think that that's the kind of work our agency wants to focus on with teams, with leagues, with players. On our own content side of things, we've just launched a separate channel, Cricket District Network, where we upload podcasts, highlight shows, partnership with the ECB to showcase county championship cricket. But ultimately, we want to put more time into our long-form YouTube content and being more consistent on there and really growing an audience there, whilst looking after and nurturing our existing community.
I think I spoke to you earlier about it, and what do we want to make and what do our fans enjoy making? For the last 18 months, we've posted a real wide range of stuff. There's been all sorts on there. Now we can kind of see what people want to see the most, and actually it does correlate with what we enjoy making the most. So plenty more YouTube videos, plenty more consistent content that will be coming out. I think that's the main focus for sure.
Awesome. Well, this podcast is sort of focused on cricketers or coaches in the past, but one thing I'm keen to do is share the stories of you guys who are in cricket and doing amazing things in cricket. You're not sort of heroes on the field. You might be in your own sort of own worlds, but you're heroes in terms of what you're doing for the game. And so, yeah, congratulations. And I hope that Cricket District just continues to grow and thrive, and the team doubles and the content keeps sort of changing people's lives. So, congrats on everything, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you, mate. Thanks for making the trip to sunny Eastbourne. Appreciate it.
Anytime.
Just about to say, hopefully one day, return fixture. I've never been to Australia, so...
Yep, well, I need a good videographer out there.
Damn, lost it. Brilliant. Thanks,
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
If you enjoyed this episode or any of our content, then please do me a big favour and subscribe to our channel. The more subscribers we get, the bigger the guests we can get on and continue to help you on your journey of becoming the best you can be.